Hello, everyone. I'm Harvey Brownstone, and today's guest exemplifies the word multi-talented. He's literally done it all: Broadway, movies, television, and web programming. You've seen him on the big screen in hit movies, including Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, The Hills Have Eyes, Part 2, Apt Pupil, and Daredevil. On TV, he starred as Tom Gallagher in Rituals, and as Tim Burke on Valley of the Dolls, and as Jonas Chamberlain on One Life to Live. But he's most recognized around the world as the dashing heartthrob Dr. Craig Wesley from NBC's daytime drama, Days of Our Lives. But there's so much more to this man. At the age of 18, he was already appearing on Broadway in a chorus line, followed by Meet Me in St. Louis. And he's appeared on stage in numerous shows, including Hairspray, Bye Birdie, and Into the Woods. He's also an award-winning writer and producer. And when he's not filming, he can be seen touring the country in his musical one-man show, Night and Days. If that weren't enough, he co-wrote, produced, and starred in the critically acclaimed digital TV series After Forever, which won 17 awards, including 6 Emmy Awards. I'm delighted to welcome Kevin Spirtas to our show. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Harvey.
Kevin, it's just amazing to me that you're so incredibly multi-talented: acting, singing, dancing, writing, producing. When you were a kid in St. Louis, Missouri, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be famous is what I think that's more, I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance. I fell in love with Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire movies. I wanted to emulate them. And, I just thought being successful meant going to Hollywood and breaking into film and TV or Broadway would get me there. But I had a very interesting journey with that notion. Being famous at the time, I think, was a psychological, it was more of a connection to, if I could be famous, people would recognize me and accept me for being famous and maybe not who I really was or who I knew I really was. And I knew at a very early age that I was probably gay at that time, and I didn't know there was a name for it. And if I could be famous for something outside of myself, that would take the attention off of the real me. So it only took me about, 25, 30 years to find comfort with who I am and myself. And for me and now my late collaborating writing partner, Michael Slade, to create After Forever and to walk into that and to present that storyline and to win an award for not just producing and writing, but outstanding actor in a drama series. You speak your truth, you live your truth. Sometimes, most of the time, you are acknowledged and rewarded for it. I'm not saying always, but that's sort of what my path has been.
Now, at the age of 18 years old, you were starring on Broadway in the role of Mike in one of the greatest Broadway shows of all time, a chorus line. Your big song was "I Can Do That." How in the world did you master the dance that you had to do while singing that song?
I was a faker. I'm not really a tapper. If you teach me a dance, it takes me a while to memorize the direction, the connection of steps. There's a character in that show called Wrong Arms Roy. He's cut in the opening number. I'm pretty much Wrong Arms Roy until I learn the show, until I learn the number, until I feel confident that I've got it in my body. But again, things sometimes are meant to be, and I wanted to be in that show so badly. When I got the audition for Chorus Line, I was friends with a gentleman by the name of Jamie Torcellini, and he was in New York, and I said, "Would you please teach me the combination? I want to make sure I've got the combination right." He says, "Yeah." So in his little tiny apartment on the Upper West Side, he taught me the da 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 da. I got the job.
You sure did. You also starred as Corny Collins in the Las Vegas production of Hairspray alongside Harvey Fierstein, who originated the role of Edna Turnblad on Broadway. How amazing was that experience?
Well, I love Harvey. I've known him in the peripheral before I got the show. And Dick Latessa was still alive and with us at that time. It was great. I love that show. Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman are friends of mine. I got to work with Jack O'Brien, Matt Lenz, the associate director. It was and Jerry Mitchell, who I actually used to live next door to in New York as a kid at 18. I love that show. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I love it.
You were Hugh Jackman's standby on Broadway in The Boy from Oz, which I absolutely loved. I saw it twice. Did you ever get to go on and play the role of Peter Allen?
No, I never got to play the role of Peter Allen. I actually covered 4 different roles. As a standby, I never was on stage. I was always off stage waiting for someone to fall. I didn't have my handy marbles at the time, but no, I covered 4 different roles. I played Mark Heron a couple of times opposite Hugh. So I felt I got to do something on that stage.
I was disappointed that when Hugh Jackman left the show, they closed the show. Was there any discussion of keeping the show going with someone else in the lead role like you?
Well, I think I was informed that I may never go on because he may never miss a show. But there's something very interesting. Listen, Hugh became the Boy from Oz. He was that show. He was identified and being absolutely rewarded, and he was being recognized as this incredible talent and a force to be reckoned with. I don't take that away from him at all. The day that they announced that they were going to go dark and pay us a vacation, Hugh came running up to the 4th floor and said, "Mike, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." And I said, "Hugh, when I am starring in my own show, I pray they have to close when I take a vacation." But no, he's great. I love him. There's a great story, though, I will say about the night before my audition. I was having dinner with Tommy Tune and Lucy Arnaz and a friend of ours, Lee Tannen. And we were all going to go out to dinner. But before that, we went to go have cosmopolitans at Lucy Arnaz's apartment. And she was shaking up the cosmos, and she offered everyone. I said, no, I'm actually auditioning tomorrow for a show. I'd like to rest my voice and not drink anything. And we kind of went on and talked about a couple other things. And then about an hour later, she said, "One more Cosmo, everybody." And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm okay." And she goes, "Kevin, have a Cosmo." And Tommy went, "Lucy A., Kevin is here to audition for the Hugh Jackman standby for The Boy from Oz. He doesn't want to drink." And she looked out of the kitchen and she said, "You're going to get the job. Have a Cosmo." Cut to the very first night I ever played Mark Heron. She was in the audience in the 2nd row. And right between the first 2 people in the first row, I see Lucy at the end of my number, and she goes, "I told you to have that."
And you saw her say it?
Huh?
You could see her say that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like she was arm's length away. It was great, really great.
Well, I know Lee Tannen because he was on our show, and I can only imagine. I wish I'd been a fly on the wall during that dinner at Lucy's place. That's for sure.
Oh, we just had a great time, and Tommy, and yeah, it's all great.
Well, I love the fact that in your one-man show, Night and Days, you perform a few of the big numbers from The Boy from Oz. That must be great fun.
Yeah, I got to do it off Broadway.
Your one-man show is kind of like a musical autobiography. There's a wonderful song you do in that show called One Day More from Les Mis, except that you've changed the lyrics. Can you tell us the story behind that song?
Behind the parody of it, I auditioned for Les Miserables 5 times, and I really, really love that show. I think next to Chorus Line, it's my all-time favorite show. I auditioned for it 5 times. Now, I didn't get it, and my dad being a demolition contractor and coming from a nice Jewish middle-class family, my mom wanted me to be a doctor, and my dad wanted me to go into demolition, and I didn't want either. So there's the joke that I gave up my dream of performing once I didn't get Les Miserables, and I became a doctor on a soap. So my friend Kirby Tepper brilliantly recreated lyrics for One Day More.
I want our viewers to know that Kevin's one-man show, Night and Days, is available on CD and DVD by going to his official website, kevinspirtas.com. Kevin, do you have any plans to resume doing your one-man show again in the near future?
Yeah, I actually do. I'm actually working on a new show. It's kind of a toss up between two different songwriters and singers, but right now the show is it's called Peter and Barry in the Background, and it's really me having always had Peter Allen and Barry Manilow's music in the background of my life and where I was at that time. And the songs are, Peter Allen's music. God, just unbelievable.
I hope you're going to do Once Before I Go. That's my favorite.
Once Before I Go. I love Once Before I Go. Yeah, I'll do a lot of the Peter Allen music for sure. But there's some great songs that people don't really associate with Barry from his Paradise Cafe album. And Barry actually, I went to go see him in Vegas when I was doing Corny Collins in Hairspray. And he sang this great song called Every Single Day.
Yes.
And it's from a new show called Harmony that I think he's trying to bring to New York. And I said, Barry, I've known you for years. We used to have acting class together with Nina Foch back in the early 80s. And I said, you turned in to Hugh Jackman on stage right then and there. You stood there, you sang the song, and he goes, Kevin, you should sing that song. So he sent me the song every single day, and I sing that in my new show. And I want to say something about that song. The thing I love about Every Single Day is because it talks about the words you say. And I'm such a believer in that which you focus upon becomes your life. You create every step of your life, every next moment of your life, whether it's through your actions, your thoughts, or your words. So that song really is about standing in your truth and saying, here it is, folks. Here's who I am. Take me as I am. Take my word. And let's be careful what we say so we don't regret the words we say. So I love that song for that reason.
Oh, I can't wait to see that show. I know that song because Barry Manilow did it live in one of his live concert albums. So I think it is a perfect song for you. Would you say that live theater is your first love, or do you prefer working on film?
It's a different muscle. And, there's nothing like a live audience. There's nothing like that immediate gratification when you are moving people or you're being moved yourself by someone on stage. And I love that. I don't think I'll ever lose my thrill of doing stage. However, there are different stories you can tell on screen, which is where After Forever was born.
Well, now, of all the roles you've played in the movies and on TV, you're most identified with the character of Dr. Craig Wesley on Days of Our Lives. He's a pretty cunning and devious character, but do you find any warmth and humanity inside him when you're playing Craig Wesley?
Well, back in the day, 20 some odd years ago, in 1997, when I played this 2-day role and it turned into 8 years, I was kind of devious at the very beginning, but then they gave me a daughter and a loving wife, and we softened a bit. And then one day the head writers changed, and I went off to answer a phone call and never came back. So that's showbiz, folks. Now, Craig has come back 20 years later, and he's actually come out of the closet.
Nobody saw that coming.
Nobody saw it coming. However, when they would bring people back over and through the years, there's like a revolving door of characters that come back all the time. One day, it was at the 2019 Emmy Awards, and Ron Calvardi, our head writer from Days of Our Lives, saw me and said, congratulations on After Forever and all the awards it's won. You should be very proud of yourself. Congratulations. And he kind of took off. And I had this voiceless voice sort of say, I wonder if Craig will ever come back as gay. It was just in my head. And I turned to Michael at the time, who was alive, and I said, what do you think about that? He goes, you never know. And this last summer, I was called by the casting director saying they want to bring Craig back to the canvas and they want to bring him out of the closet. And I thought, what an incredible opportunity to create a different type of story.
Well, do you think it was a brave thing for the writers and the producers to take your character in that direction?
I think it was very brave. I think it's historic because it's never been done on daytime. And it's brave because they're taking a beloved couple, Craig and Nancy Wesley, and they are splitting them. It's different when I think when a heterosexual man has an affair with another woman, you can always tell the woman, no more, I'm going back to my wife. But this is not going back to his wife. Craig is making a life decision based on something that he has sort of suppressed for many, 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 many years. I think it's a very hard line to to walk, really, because so many fans are like, we love this couple, and yet they're very happy to see Craig finding his truth. And then there's other fans who are like, you're breaking up my favorite couple, forget it, I hope this doesn't happen, get him,
Well,
noise, 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 noise. As long as they spell my name right, they can write anything they want about it.
is it just a coincidence that the writers decided to make Craig Wesley gay after your tremendous success on After Forever?
I'm I would think that that probably had a good deal to do with it. I mean, I wasn't in their heads when they decided to create this particular storyline, but I think it makes sense. I think I have nothing to fear walking onto the set being out as a gay man who can do a gay role now or a straight role, whatever the character calls for. But I think it was actually very brave of them to utilize what they saw me do so well in After Forever, which I'm very proud of the work in that show, and then bring it over to daytime.
Now, for all the fans of Days of Our Lives, I have to mention the very special date of September 12th, 2005, when you sang The Sweetest of Nights and the Finest of Days at the wedding of Craig Wesley's daughter, Chloe.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it for you to sing at the wedding, and how did you pick that song?
Well, that song is actually written by my friend Shelley Markham, who I've worked with throughout the years, and he wrote it for another project that he had been working on. I was no longer on the show at the time. I was already off the show, and they called me up and they said, we want you to sing at Chloe's wedding. I said, great, what are you gonna have me sing? And they wanted me to do this very big, large, like 40s number. I can't remember. I said, I'm not gonna sing that at her wedding during the ceremony of the wedding. And they said, well, Kevin, you know, you really have to. That's what they want you to, that's what they've written. I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not under contract and I really don't have to come back to sing at all. So why don't you let me suggest a couple of different songs? This is the song, The Sweetest of Nights and the Finest of Days, that I really, really thought was appropriate to sing at a wedding, at a daughter's wedding. And it's almost prayer-like. So I played it for the producers and they said, okay. I said, trust me, you'll get the rights to it. You know, that's how it came about.
Well, I want our viewers to know that you can buy the CD of that song, The Sweetest of Nights and the Finest of Days, on Kevin's website, which is kevinspirtas.com. And I believe you were donating a portion of the proceeds to charity, correct?
It was for the hurricane fund. It was Red Cross Hurricane. That was back during
Katrina.
Katrina. So it'll still go to the Red Cross.
I want to ask you about your experiences as a producer. In 2008, you produced the New York Shakespeare Festival presentation of A Good Smoke starring Meryl Streep. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about the experience of working with her?
It was actually very fast and kind of, I hate to say uneventful, but it was eventful. My friend Don Cummings wrote this incredible new play that actually was starring Henry Gummer, which is Meryl's son. And at one point, there was conversation about maybe Meryl would come do the reading as his mother in the play. And once that was sort of identified and created, and they said yes, I helped Don find the location and invite people to the venue. She was lovely, but they really Pam McKinnon was the director, and she sort of like set everyone up. We had a read through. I basically just sort of helped organize getting Meryl from one room to the stage, Henry from one room to the stage. She was lovely. She was brilliant as the mother, and so was Henry as the son. And the play just never really went anywhere after that. I don't think they wanted to do a family affair on Broadway, and that's kind of how that played out. But she was lovely. She knew everyone was there to see the show for her, and then she wanted to be for her son. So I think it worked out.
In 2009, you made your debut as a Broadway producer on the critically acclaimed revival of Finian's Rainbow, and you co-produced the hit Broadway musical Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Kevin, I've been told that being a Broadway producer is one of the most stressful jobs on earth. Did you enjoy it?
Uh, when I walked out on stage at the New York Shakespeare Festival and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please turn off your cell phones and enjoy a good smoke," and this was the Meryl Streep show, the next day, everyone called me. So I got a very, very fast and furious education on how people in the Broadway community work with each other. That show went on to hope. There was about 5 producers who attached themselves to Good Smoke, and it didn't happen. But through that, I met several people, Alan and Barbara Marks for starters, and Jamie DeRoy, who are still very, very present in my life. And they kind of taught me the ropes of how to produce. I actually would not have been able to do After Forever without knowing what it was like to raise money, to see how people position actors, to reach out to people. I also have I have a pretty good eye of marketing, so I have that as just a little like a secret weapon. So I got to learn about how they did that on the larger scale. So it really all helped for After Forever. I haven't been back to Broadway for a very long time for that reason. It's a lot of the same people, core set of people, and they all they branch out. But I don't know. I'd like something. I'd like something like film to produce because it's easier to remind you what you did. You don't always get to see a show that doesn't necessarily become the longest running musical, like Phantom or Les Mis.
Well, let's talk about After Forever. You and the wonderful Michael Slade, who tragically passed away just over a year ago, created the highly acclaimed TV show After Forever. You star as Brian, a middle-aged gay man who loses his husband and has to reinvent himself as a single person. It's such an emotionally powerful show. Where did the idea for the show come from?
Well, when I met Michael, he reminded me that he used to write for Days of Our Lives. So that's how I kind of was reconnected with him in New York at the gym. He reminded me, he said, "Are you Kevin? Because I used to write for you." I at that time, I wanted to do a drama about a single man who was dating and looking for love. That's what I knew. That's what was personal to me, and that's what I wanted to draw on. Michael had lost his partner of 15 years to a very rare cancer diagnosis, which is something we use in the story After Forever. And he wanted to find a way to make one of the worst experiences of his life a positive thing. So we kind of combined our stories. Mine didn't become so much a dating show, but it did find its way to love, loss, and healing and new beginnings. So After Forever is about 2 middle-aged gay men who have everything until they don't. And the way we tell the story is my character is now in the present, and he's with a lot of his friends, and he's trying to work through his time in the present as a single man. There's flashbacks between Jason and my character, Brian, and we learn who they were, and we learn why they were so good together. And then there's scenes where it's conjuring up story between me and Jason, a ghost. So it's how Brian is trying to heal his life through the ghost of Jason. So he can talk about things like, why are you gone? Why did you have to leave? Or, if you were here, you'd see how crazy this is. And why aren't you here? It's always about what is not happening now because he's gone. So Michael and I found a way to tell that story, and it was personal to both of us.
Well, that's a good segue into my next question, which is how much of Kevin Spirtas is there in the Brian character?
Oh, I think a lot of it. I mean, I say this to anybody who watches the series. It's a love story between 2 gay men, but that's not the story. The story is about loss. And we all have or are about to or will experience loss. And just because a relationship is ended by death with one person or the other, it does not mean it's the end of the relationship. I have had an extraordinary amount of loss in my life. I actually have not lost a partner the way Michael had, but I had enough to draw on where I've had great loves in my life, and they're still in my life to some capacity, but we're just not together. I also told Michael I wanted to create a character for myself, which he, through the writing, gave to me, which I wanted to just sort of wake up. I wanted to be able to get out of bed, walk to the set, and continue being myself. Whereas something like Days of Our Lives, where I was twisting my mustache and wringing my hands about planning evil deeds, that's soap opera. But this was an opportunity for me to just be myself, create from a place of something personal. We both had, it was personal to both of us that we tell the story. And at one point there was a friend, a producer, who said, I'm not going to get involved with this. You should just sell it to HBO. Do a pilot and sell it. And I went, Michael and I have been in this business for more than enough years to know that if you sell a project and you give it away to them, they don't necessarily keep you on board. They don't necessarily keep you in the casting position. And we held on to it, and I'm grateful we did. I'm really grateful we did.
Well, I think the whole world is grateful so far. There's been 2 seasons. The show won 6 Emmys, dozens of other awards, including a GLAAD Media Award. You were the first LGBTQ-focused show to win 5 Emmys in one season. Congratulations on such an incredible success.
Thank you. Thank you. I share that with Michael. And this is a picture of Michael Slade. There's a in memoriam card we are using for a project we're going to be doing in his honor. He's with me all the time. He gave me the thumbs up, I guess is the best way to say it, that I had a creative voice to share, and that I could write, and that I could tell story. And I'm grateful for that.
When I was watching the show, I got the feeling that every actor was totally invested emotionally in the show. The chemistry between everyone was amazing. Don't you think?
Yeah, the cast, we have an extraordinary cast. I brought Mitchell Anderson out of retirement. He was on Doogie Howser and Party of Five years ago, and he and I had never actually worked together as actors, but we were up against each other for years. And he lives in Atlanta now with his husband, and he has 2 restaurants he has opened. And I said, you got to read the script and you got to be my husband. And he said, no, I'm okay. I said, no, read the script. And it gave Mitchell such pleasure to call me up because, Kevin, I've never read something like this. I'm in. So he's in it. Anita Gillette, Lenny Wolpe, Katie Huffman, Michael Urie. Mitchell and I were both nominated for Outstanding Actor that year, and for Emmys. And I said, listen, if I win, you're coming up on stage with me. And he said, no. I said, no, if I win, you're coming. And I grabbed his arm and I dragged him on stage, and I celebrated the both of us because I thought, how fantastic in 2019, I could thank my leading man, and we can talk about, gay thematic content. It's really wonderful. The 3rd season, by the way, I just want to say, Michael and I wrote it in 2020. We were going to film it in 2020, and then COVID happened. So it's been on the shelf. We lost Michael, obviously, to a cancer diagnosis not too long after that. But it will be made this end of April, beginning of May. We're going to shoot the final season.
So that means that by the end of 2022, we will get to see season 3. And I want people to know that there was also a sequel called Riley's Unforgettable School Project, which I just loved.
Yeah, it's a standalone, sort of like a documentary style story being told. We wanted to stay current during COVID, of course, and we created this remote storytelling. We sent the camera to everybody's apartment, and as our characters, we told stories about Jason. So the only person who's not in the story this time is Jason. Mitchell is not in it, but it was the last thing we really kind of created together. And Michael sadly did not get to see it online, but just days before we we launched it, he passed.
Yeah, that's
Beautiful story.
incredibly heartbreaking. You know, Kevin, one of the reasons that After Forever was so highly acclaimed, in my opinion, is because of the way it portrayed gay people in such a normalized way. There just aren't that many shows or movies out there that portray our community in such a realistic way, are there?
No, they're not. And Michael and I felt very strongly about gay men after a certain age, not unlike women after a certain age. They're sort of like written off the canvas. They're not telling stories about them. The older gay men stories are Christopher Plummer down the hall with a cat, and
Yeah.
that's where we're going. So we wanted to tell a story about people who you recognize as just normal in life. Uh, and we were told that it tells a certain upper middle class story, and that's not normal. That's what Michael and I knew. Michael and I knew these characters, so we told those characters, and we incorporated the people around us who we knew, and that's how that story was created.
Well,
If
the
someone else,
themes of love, loss, new beginnings are universal. They resonate with everyone, regardless of sexual orientation. I have to tell you, Kevin, I still think often of Michael Slade's acceptance speech at the Emmys when he said he took the most horrible moment of his life and managed to make something beautiful out of it. That was so incredibly moving, wasn't it?
yeah,
And when you accepted your Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor, you said it was a healing experience to work with Michael Slade. What did you mean by that?
I, I knew at that time Michael had been diagnosed with his cancer diagnosis, and he and I found a relationship through this collaboration as friends, and he just taught me so much. He healed me of certain doubts I had about my craft, my ability, and my talent, and it was a healing. It still is a healing. I told him that before he died, and I really I miss him very much, especially at this time when we're trying to put together season three. I have his words. I have the scripts. I can hear what he said during certain scenes and when we were rewriting certain things. So that I have with me always. So I just wanted to find its way to completion.
Well, I was hoping to get this interview with you so that I could say to you that in the same way that Jason is there with Brian during the show,
Mm.
I hope that you feel Michael's presence with you as you're moving forward, because I think that now that you've had such immense success with After Forever, you finally recognized your own creative talent, that you'll create more shows.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Before Michael died, I said, you better come talk to me. We wrote a series about it, so that was our joke. He has actually come to me in dreams or meditations, and I'll see something during the day, and I go, "Oh, that's Michael. That's so Michael."
Or you'll
And
get an inspirational thought
exactly, it's
and he
exactly right.
planted it there. I really believe in that.
I completely agree with you. And it also is. It's not. I don't have to prove it to anybody, but there are moments that I have had extraordinary awareness of his presence, and I go, "Oh, I'm being shown that this is real," or or just the idea. And it's not just Michael. I have other people who have crossed over, and I go, I wonder how Michael's today. Like he's not gone. He's just not here in the physical. So that's a way I kind of conjure stuff up. There are some other projects that I'm dabbling with, a couple other writers, and I'm seeking the possibility of creating together. But
Well,
right
he's going
now,
to be your guardian angel for a
he sure is.
long,
He
long
sure
time.
is. He sure is.
You know, Kevin, I've been told repeatedly by gay men and women who are actors that there's still a lot of homophobia in Hollywood and that if they come out, their chances of getting good roles are diminished. Do you agree with that?
I again believe that back to that song, what you focus upon becomes your reality, becomes your life. I created a project because I wanted to work. I created a project because I wanted to share something personal with my life. Michael, the same way. It accomplished exactly what I wanted to do. It brought attention to who I am and to what I want to do. Are they busting down the door with parts? Not necessarily, but I'm not. It's not over because of that. I'm still got things to do, and I'm sure that parts will come. I think it's a matter of time. I look at Billy Porter, who all his life was so afraid to be himself, and as a friend, I am so proud of this man who is standing in his truth and fabulously and deliciously enjoying the ride now, deservedly so. He's 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 my hero. People like Billy are my hero, and that's why I wanted to stand in a story like this and go, "This is who I am. This is what I do, and this is what I know."
Well, when I did my research about you, and by the way, I don't like the term gay actor. You're a gay man who happens to
Thank you.
be an actor. But when I did my research about you, I discovered that you never really made an official announcement that you were gay. You just lived your life being yourself. It wasn't widely known that you were gay until after Forever. So now that it is widely known that you are gay, has anything changed for you in terms of your professional life?
Well, I want to back up for a minute. There was a play that I did in New York, and it was gay thematic. And someone said, "So, what's it like to be an out gay actor?" And I said, wait. What question are you asking me? Are you asking me if I'm gay? Are you asking me if I'm out? Are you asking me if I'm an actor who does only gay roles? So I broke down the question for him. And the name of the show, I can't even remember. But anyway, this article, by the way, every December 1st goes out on National AIDS Day. And it is, I have, that was the time I really sort of stepped into the question. Because just like you said, I'm a man. I'm a man first. I happen to be gay. I happen to be someone's nephew. I happen to be someone's uncle, someone's son. I'm an actor. I'm a friend of so-and-so. This is the slice of me that happens to be gay, actor, whatever. So I find that it's easier to go through my life now being open about it because it's not having to straddle the question of, oh, some people may not know, some people do know, you know.
Well, I assume you're aware that you're a huge role model for the LGBTQ plus community.
Well, if I am, I'm standing on shoulders of other people. I really am. I hope that what I've done with After Forever, and I hope that by acknowledging my truth and my personal life, it helps someone else. That's what we're here for.
Well, in an interview you did a number of years ago, you said that you were working on finding the balance and appreciation for living in the now. Have you managed to achieve that?
Oh, at times. At times. I don't even know what any of that was, but it sounds like something I would say.
You did.
Every day is new. And if I can, again, we create our very existence. So, if I'm focusing on an uneasy outcome, that's the outcome that's most likely going to happen. If I'm focusing on communion or the ability to see a positive change with a certain situation, that's what's most likely going to be accomplished. That which you focus upon becomes your life. And I'm trying to be honest every moment. I'm trying to be as clear-minded every moment so I can make the decision. There are times that I am not that person. I may honk when someone cuts me off in traffic. I may be quick to snap when someone says something against a position that I'm standing in. I'm trying to learn how to not only forgive myself in those areas, but others as well. So.
Well, what I love about you and the place you're at right now is that you've really embraced your destiny. You've created your destiny. You've also embraced it. You're healing from the loss of an incredibly close friend and writing partner. And you're giving the world a chance to see you in a very, very different light in a project that's probably the most personal project you've ever been involved in.
Yeah, well, yes to all of that. And I'm proud of it because it came from us. It came from our creative sources and juices and ideas. It wasn't something else that someone gave me. to then hire me to be the mouthpiece for. There are certain things about this show that we would not have done any other way. And I think in the Hollywood world, it probably could have been watered down. So I'm grateful that I'm grateful for the people who also believed that we could do this, because in the very first season, we had a group of investors who were absolutely taking a chance on our dream. Back to the Broadway producing versus film and TV producing. When Michael and I had written season 1, we had a reading of it. We invited people to a staged reading of season 1, and that's the thing that sort of got people, oh, this is what Kevin's doing. This is what Michael's doing. So that was a really wonderful thing.
Well, I can't wait to see season 3. I want to mention to our viewers that you can follow Kevin's career and get all the information on what's happening by going to his official website, which is kevinspirtas.com. Kevin, it's been an absolute pleasure having this opportunity to interview you, to celebrate your career, your remarkable achievements in this business. I hope you'll come back with every new project. You're always welcome on our show.
Harvey, I would be honored to. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being such a supporter of the series.
That's easy. Let me tell you, it's something that reflects my life. I get to see myself and my community reflected on the screen, and I just hope you're doing a great service, not just to us middle-aged men, but to the gay community, because I think it's high time that your truth, which is so reflective of our truth, gets celebrated. So good on you. You got a lot of people behind you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our guest has been the wonderful actor, singer, writer, and producer, Kevin Spirtas. My name is Harvey Brownstone. Thank you to our producer, Steve Silver. Thank you all for joining us. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out all the great interviews on the Harvey Brownstone Interviews YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when new videos are posted.